Throughout the day, witnesses have been recollecting the horrifying scenes as Stephen Paddock opened fire at the musical festival in Las Vegas. The 64-year-old turned the gun on himself before authorities stormed his hotel room. One of Paddock's neighbours has speculated about a possible gambling debt.
Everybody started kind of like charging our direction, and we were standing there just dancing, and we weren't understanding. And then you can hear that machine gun, like I can't even. That was the worst. And then everybody's running and screaming, and I mean, there's people like trampling people.
He was considered a professional gambler, so he had the money to back it up. So only time will tell once the investigators was the gambling cause him to snap.
Well, to discuss these latest developments a little further, I'm joined live now from Las Vegas by Mark New. Mark, indeed, we've just heard some witnesses there speaking out about what they saw. But of course, the main question on everyone's mind is why. Can you just give us an idea of the latest information coming out from this investigation in Las Vegas?
Well, police are uncovering details that show the shooter may have been planning things even worse. I mean, we talked about how they found at least 20 guns inside that 32nd floor of the hotel room in the Mandalay Bay. Some of them a handgun and also multiple rifles. But they also took a look at his car and found several pounds of ammonium nitrate, a material used to make explosives. At his home, they found at least 19 firearms, explosive, and several thousand rounds more of ammunition. This all shows that he had a great deal of planning, even though people around him and his brothers never had any idea of his that he showed any signs of violence in him. Now, Paddock, there are also details emerging as to what happened when they confronted him. Paddock actually fired through the door when officers approached his room. He actually shot one security guard in the leg. A SWAT team had to break down that door, and then they discovered that he had already killed himself. But what they found in his room showed that he was planning something great, because in the past few days he had about 10 suitcases where he was bringing in various firearms, and the housekeepers had said they had not seen anything. The police said that he had disguised them very well in his room. He rented out that suite that had 2 windows, which he knocked out, which was a perfect view of the Vegas Strip. Just shows that he really had great detail in planning, although they have no idea still what his motive is. Back to you.
And indeed, that does start to paint a rather disturbing picture. Mark, of course, the gun debate is now back on the table. The White House saying perhaps right now it's still too premature to discuss gun law at this point. But what are residents that you're speaking to in Las Vegas saying about gun laws in America?
Well, I still sense a hesitance for people to really come out about it. Talking to normal people on the street or taxi drivers, they still seem to be focused on the motive as opposed to the cause. Even in the press conference, we saw the sheriff come out and say, "I don't know how this could have been prevented." Well, if you're, anti-gun or for more gun control, it immediately pops in your mind, well, why don't we take a look at guns? And on social media, we're seeing a huge discussion. The late night talk shows, including South African native Trevor Noah, ABC's Jimmy Kimmel, they've all taken to social media and their shows to say that this is the time to talk about it, because there have been so many shootings that when is there ever going to be a time that there's no shooting not to talk about it? That's not even taking into account the shootings that are not considered mass shootings, which happen every day in this country. So there's really a strong push at this point to bring that to the agenda, but we are seeing the same recipe on the gun control side, that it's not a time to talk about it. And as we point out, Nevada has some of the most relaxed gun laws in the country. It does not even require firearm owners to have licenses or register their weapons, nor does it limit the number of firearms that somebody can own. Back to you in the studio.
Well, certainly will be interesting to see how this particular incident influences gun laws in America. Thanks very much to Mark New joining us there from Las Vegas.